Okay, here I am with our new guy, BIZBO. Hi, boy. BIZBO is a 10-month-old bernadoodle, and he just came in yesterday, and this is actually my first session on the leash with him. Yesterday we kind of just let him settle in a little bit, get used to things. Hi, boy. So right now I just have him on a rope lead. Right now I do have a Star Mark and 6-foot leather leash here that I do want to put him on, but I thought first let's just see how he is here on the rope lead. He came in on his own, just regular flat buckle collar, and he pulls a lot, jumps a lot. I mean, that's one of the things that his owner says is like he's just lunges out, jumps up, just normal stuff. So yeah, just wanted to get him out here and just kind of see how he starts following a little on the rope lead here. So we'll let him kind of go out there, and I'm just going to be making these turns and see if I can guide him with the leash. So far he's doing pretty good with that. I think he hasn't experienced a rope lead before. He hasn't experienced sort of that cinching sensation. So for a dog who's only ever had their flat collar or maybe a harness or something like that, where they haven't experienced any cinching down or any tightening, they're gonna have like one of two responses. I think they're gonna do what he's doing, which is follow, or the other one is they're gonna kind of freak out. They don't really understand it. They've never had that level of maybe control on their neck, and so they freak out. Come on, boy. Good boy. So it's a good sign that he's kind of going with the leash here, right? And essentially that's what we need to teach him, right? Is how to follow and how to go with the leash. Good boy, good boy. So we're just gonna go back and forth here, just kind of walking on a straight line. I'm turning to my right good boy. As I make that turn, if he's not really paying attention and kind of pulls out, we'll just give him a little tug there to follow me. Good boy, good boy, good boy. Good. So like right here, if your dog totally gets out in front of you like that, just go ahead and make that turn right away. Okay. So like this, just go ahead and make that turn right away. So I haven't used any treats yet. This is really just trying to evaluate and see if he wants to follow on the leash willingly. Come on, boy. Good boy. Good boy. So we can go ahead and start to work. Oh boy. Work a little more at this by, we'll get a treat. We'll start to throw his name in here, okay? So he's already paying attention. Maybe he smells it. It's in my other hand. But if we get any jumping like that, you can go ahead and just control it with the leash. Just control it with the leash, okay? So when he jumps up, give him a little control with the leash there. Good boy. No, he's too big. He's too big for that. Obviously, I'm wanting to teach any dog not to jump up like that regardless of the size, but he's just too big. BIZBO. Yeah, good. So I finally got my opportunity there to call his name and use my food to bring him to me. BIZBO. Yeah, good. Good. Good boy. Good. Good boy. So we're just going to go back and forth here. BIZBO. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Come on. Good. Good. Good boy. All right. So he follows on the leash. I can see he's pretty good there. I mean, yes, we have a lot of work to do, but he's willing. So what I want to jump into right away is I start to work on a little bit of this impulse control for him. Start to develop that in him. So we're going to go ahead and just do our throwing of the treat exercise here. Good boy. And working on him impulsively, lunging out and snatching those off the ground. Okay. So we'll throw one. Yes, good boy. That was a good decision right there. and then we'll reward for that, right? So 2 in the hand, throw 1. He controls himself, we can reward. So, you know, there he got a little distracted, kind of started smelling himself, but either way, he didn't go out and try to grab that one, so I'm gonna reward for that, right? So 2 in the hand, oh, you got a chew, boy. So 2 in the hand, throw 1. Good boy, he controls himself, and we'll reward. So right now, I don't really, come on, we'll move forward a little bit here. Right now, I don't really mind that he's not paying attention to me when I reward him there. I'm just gonna go ahead and reward him for not getting the treat, right? So throw, good, okay. So he tried to pull out. Yes, good boy. So again, this is patience and self-control, impulse control. It's teaching some limitations. It's teaching not to lunge, right? It's teaching him not to jump out. It's teaching him how to stay by your side, okay? So there's a lot of things that are being taught here. And yes, we want to teach this with something that the dog actually likes, right? So a lot of time, I mean, I'm pretty sure he also like lunges out at dogs. So I want to develop this skill, obviously, and develop this understanding, and then we can apply it in those other areas, right? If we can teach him, hey, don't pull out and lunge towards this food, then we can apply that, yes, with dogs or in general being on the leash, right? So this is actually going to be an expectation or a manner that is going to be developed with the leash, meaning, yes, anytime he's on leash, we expect this, right? So this is really the foundation for a lot of our work and a lot of our commands here, because yes, if our dog doesn't have any impulse control, then it's kind of hard to teach how to stay. Okay, so manners on the leash: no pulling, no lunging, no jumping, no barking, and don't leave my side without permission, right? So this would be leaving your side without permission. This would be lunging. This would be pulling, right? So we're working on 3 of those with this one exercise here. Yes, that's a good boy. That's a good boy. So it's very, very black and white. If he impulsively pulls out and tries to grab those, we'll control it with the leash. If he makes a great decision to stay by your side and control himself, he gets rewarded, right? It's very, very black and white. Good boy. So if you're breaking it down like this, it's gonna be, yes, very easy for him to say, well, hey, I'd rather stay by your side because I'm just gonna get rewarded, right? If I just stay by your side every single time, I'm gonna get rewarded. Pretty simple, right? Good boy. And eventually, we're gonna roll this over it and create an expectation out of this, okay? So meaning, you know, we're not gonna have to reward our dog every single time. Right now, we are rewarding every single time he doesn't pull out so that we can develop this understanding, okay? Later, it'll just be an expectation and we don't need to reward. Yes. He will understand, all right, I'm not supposed to do that, right? So he's a smart boy. It only takes him a couple of times. Okay, good boy, good boy. A couple of mistakes paired with a couple of proper timing on the reward, and he picks it up. Good boy, good boy. Yes, good boy, good boy. And then again, you can incrementally make this a little bit more challenging and increase the expectation by only rewarding him when he breaks focus from the treat on the floor and looks at you. Okay, so I think he's starting to pick that up. If I throw this and I wait, you see how he breaks focus and then I reward. So in the beginning, again, I was only rewarding him for just not going. And then I started rewarding him as he breaks focus, right? So I think obviously the key is, if you're looking for that, if you're wanting him to break focus, then you're gonna have to only reward him when he breaks focus. If I start to reward him for not breaking focus, then he's gonna be like, oh, cool, you're gonna reward me if I still pay attention to the treats, then I'll just do that, right? So I think once you make a breakthrough or you develop sort of the second step in something like this, then you have to stick to that. Only reward for that second step, right? So the moment that you backtrack and you start rewarding for, let's say, a B instead of an A, then the dog's only gonna give you Bs, right? So we wanna reward for only A. Yes, for only A's. That way he'll always give us A's, okay? So in the beginning, you might be rewarding for a C, and then you'll move up to a B, and then you'll move up to an A, and then you only reward for A's, right? If you reward for B's and C's, that's what they'll give you, okay? Good boy. So some noises are still catching his attention, some airplanes, you know, motorcycles in the area, whatever, kind of catching his attention, okay? But I'm not too worried about that. Okay, so just one thing always here, we will pick these ones up, but we never give them these ones off of the ground, okay? So I don't want him to develop that understanding that, oh, okay, eventually I'm gonna get those ones. And then what happens, what we've seen is if you end up picking these ones up and giving them to him, a lot of the time you might not get that focus back on you, meaning they might not, they'll continue to stare at these ones because they're like, well, eventually I'm gonna get it because you've always given them to me, right? So we don't give them those ones off of the ground. And again, essentially, this is teaching a pretty strong leave it, that things on the ground are sort of off limits, right? And then, you know, another extension of that exercise is gonna be to have the treat in our hand and teach him not to grab it from our hand, okay? So I'm gonna do sort of the same thing here. A couple jabs on the leash there. Yes. And what I'm looking to do is for him to pull himself away from my hand. I'm not trying to pull him away, right? I'm trying to send a couple signals with the leash to remove himself or pull himself away from my hand, right? Good boy. Because again, there's a huge difference on me having food here and me giving it to him, okay? So this is, again, part of impulse control. Your dog needs to understand, oh, just because there's food in your hand doesn't necessarily mean it's for them, right? So we start to develop some respect around food in the hands. This is, again, why kids get, you know, things snatched from them. Obviously, it's a little bit difficult for a child maybe to do this, but if the dog has the understanding, then we can teach them that food in the hand is sort of off limits, right? So I'm obviously being very clear with like holding the treat in my hand pretty close to me. I'm not trying to set him up to fail and like doing this, right? I'm here, just holding it, standing right next to him, right? Yes, good boy, good boy. So again, being very fair, being very black and white with things, okay? And again, he's pretty good that it only takes him a couple of times to pick it up. Yes, good boy, good boy, good boy, good boy, good boy, yeah, good boy, good boy. So that was pretty good there. We're gonna see about continuing to work with him here on the rope lead. I do wanna get him onto that 6-foot leash just because it's a better tool to work with. But I like his response here on the rope lead. So again, anytime we're kind of choosing the correct tool, it's gonna be based on the dog's response. So even there, right, his nose went straight to the ground. I had a fixed length leash here, and I gave him a little jab there to let him know, like, hey, don't be trying to pull me down like that. And then he stopped, right? He pulled himself back. So that's what I'm looking for when I'm trying to choose a tool, right? I'm looking for the dog's response. When I tell the dog no, okay, when I told BIZBO no, don't pull there, did he take it or did he fight it, right? Do we have to put excessive pressure to get that point across? So far, we're not having to put very much pressure at all, okay? Very minimal pressure for him to understand. And a lot of times that's just contingent on the character of the dog. So sometimes a stronger character dog is gonna take a little bit more to get that point across, which is essentially the same thing as a dog snapping at another dog. So sometimes when you have a stronger character dog, he has to get snapped at many more times before he's gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna leave you alone. Okay, but in the beginning, I mean, we've all seen this, especially with like young puppies. You know, they're getting snapped at, but they're not taking it, and eventually the older dog has to kind of take it 2, 3, 4, 5 snaps before the puppy takes it, right? So this is essentially the same understanding here. So that was pretty good. We're gonna build on that. Good boy. Okay.